हेलो एवरीवन, यूट्यूब लाइव टॉक शो में आप सभी का स्वागत है। वाइस रीजन की तरफ से आप सभी को मकर संक्रांति व इंडियन आर्मी डे की हार्दिक बधाइयाँ। आज यूट्यूब लाइव टॉक शो में हम चर्चा करने वाले हैं साइकोलॉजिकल सर्विसेज इन डिफेंस, जिस पर चर्चा करने के लिए हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं कर्नल प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर A.K. जनार्दनन जी। अगर सर की क्वालिफिकेशन की बात करें तो सर के पास n नंबर ऑफ डिग्रीज हैं, जैसे MSc, MA, M.Ed, PG, JMC, PG, DBA, MMC, MS एंड PhD इन साइकोलॉजी। सर रिटायर्ड सीनियर आर्मी ऑफिसर हैं, आप डायरेक्टर हैं एंड प्रोफेसर हैं MGM ग्रुप ऑफ कॉलेज में। आप सीनियर काउंसलर कंसल्टेंट साइकोलॉजिस्ट भी हैं। आपने ऐश्वर्य दर्पणम मैगजीन में मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर भी हैं एंड एडवाइजर हैं ऑथर्स फोरम ऑफ केरला में। आप पॉपुलर मलयालम एज वेल एज इंग्लिश राइटर भी हैं। आपने मोर देन 2 डजन बुक्स लिखी हुई हैं एंड 15 नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल बायोग्राफी भी पब्लिश की हुई हैं। आप लाइफ मेंबर हैं मैनी नेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में। आपने आर्मी में सर्विस देते हुए 10 मेडल्स रिसीव किए हैं फॉर बेस्ट सर्विसेज। इसी के साथ साथ आपने राइजिंग पर्सनालिटी ऑफ इंडिया अवार्ड, लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड एंड भारत एक्सीलेंस अवार्ड भी रिसीव किया है। ऐसे कई अनगिनत मेडल एंड प्राइजेस से आपको सम्मानित किया गया है। हेलो सर, वाइस रीजन यूट्यूब लाइव टॉक शो में आपका स्वागत है। नाउ ओवर टू यू।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
सर जैसे आज हम बात करने वाले हैं साइकोलॉजिकल सर्विसेज इन डिफेंस में, तो डिफेंस में जॉब करने वालों में किस तरीके के साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज देखने में आते हैं, मैं जानना चाहूंगी।
देखो, डिफेंस में बहुत सारे साइकोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स है। So I will narrate some of these important psychological issues in defense jobs, defense services. Anxiety pertains to marital discord, children education, and financial problems. Conflict with the seniors as well as subordinates on various issues like duties and responsibilities. Depression due to overburdened commitments. Disappointment due to lack of fairness and transparency in promotions and postings. Dissatisfaction due to refusal of leave even in genuine need. किसी को लीव का जरूरत पड़ता है तब लीव मिलता नहीं. Frustration due to inadequate rest and recreational facilities. Sadness and pessimism due to continuous separation from families. बहुत सारे ऐसा जगह है मिलिट्री स्टेशंस जहां फैमिली एकोमोडेशन अवेलेबल नहीं होता है. फ्रस्ट्रेशन ड्यू टू इनएडिक्वेट रेस्ट एंड रिक्रिएशनल फैसिलिटीज. सैडनेस एंड पेसिमिज्म ड्यू टू कंटिन्यूअस सेपरेशन फ्रॉम फैमिलीज. इरिटेबिलिटी ड्यू टू लैक ऑफ लिबर्टी एंड एंजॉयड बाय अदर सिविलियन एंड पुअर वेलफेयर फैसिलिटीज. Mood changes due to personal and family problems. Poor motivation due to degradation of status in comparison to civil counterparts. Severe work stress due to adverse working conditions. Unhappiness due to frequent transfers and insufficient accommodation, as I told. Anger due to heated arguments with colleagues and abuse by seniors. These are some of the factors.
जी, सर जैसे आपने इतने सारे इश्यूज बताए कि होते हैं डिफेंस सर्विसेज में, तो सर जैसे देखा गया है कि सर्विसेज जब ज्वाइन की जाती हैं तो अक्सर ये कहा जाता है कि डिफेंस में जाने वाले मेंटली स्ट्रांग होते हैं, उन्हें मेंटली स्ट्रांग माना जाता है क्योंकि उन्हें कई तरह की सिचुएशंस को फेस करना है। तो देन सर क्या कंडीशंस ऐसी फॉर्म हो जाती हैं कि वो इस तरीके के साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज से ग्रसित हो जाते हैं?
देखो, ऐसा है, बहुत सारे इम्पैक्ट होते हैं साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यू में। अक्सर जो है हम इस तरीके का ट्रेनिंग दिया जाता है जिससे कि मिलिट्री पर्सन्स जो है वो मेंटली स्ट्रांग रहता है, लेकिन इनका जो है बहुत सारे ऐसा कंडीशन है जो इनको प्रभावित करते हैं. सो लेट अस सी व्हाट आर द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज faced by armed forces personnel.
जी,
Firstly, the existing bond of camaraderie between officers and personnel below officer rank, जो short में बोलते हैं PBOR, is becoming tenuous due to lesser communication between them. तो lesser communication क्यों होता है? क्योंकि ऑफिसर्स का स्ट्रेंथ बहुत कम है और उनको इतना ज्यादा काम है जिससे कि उनको अपने अदर रैंक से बात करने का भी टाइम बहुत कम मिलता है. Prolonged deployment of forces in high altitude field area and in indigenous environments like counterinsurgency environment as prevalent in J&K, Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern states. Military persons who frequently experience anxiety, depression, loss of emotional control in stressful situations has negative mental health symptoms. With the advancement of social work network sites, tensions within family keep the soldiers' mind occupied in a greater way and in a faster way. क्योंकि पहले क्या होता है, चिट्ठी लिखते थे, चिट्ठी आने में 5-10 दिन लगते हैं, उसके बाद जो है प्रॉब्लम पता लगता है. अभी तो सेकंड में प्रॉब्लम पता लगता है. Increases mental health problems, suicide and fratricide. Lack of motivation reduces the work output also.
सर जैसे आपने इतने सारे इश्यूज बताएं, तो आर्म फोर्स में इन सारी साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज में सबसे ज्यादा जो मेनली एक ज्यादा इशू देखने में आता है वो कौन सा है जो सबसे ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट डालता है?
देखो, सबसे ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट जो डालते हैं वो है डिग्रेडेशन ऑफ स्टेटस. देखो, हमारे इतने ज्यादा डिपार्टमेंट है जॉब से, उसमें ऐसा कोई जॉब नहीं है जिसमें लोग जो है अपना देश के लिए अपना जान कुर्बान करने के लिए तैयार होते हैं. तो अगर ऐसा लोगों को उनका स्टेटस डिग्रेड होते रहते हैं, फिर उनका मोटिवेशन लेवल जो है बहुत कम हो जाते हैं. तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ओवर डोमेस्टिक इश्यूज फेस्ड बाय देयर फैमिलीज एंड एब्सेंस ऑफ फैमिली सपोर्ट, it's also a factor. Degradation of status में क्या है? Unlike other civil services, Indian armed forces personnel are the only ones ready to sacrifice their life. I hope you agree with me as I said. Even after since independence, the successive governments and pay commissions and bureaucrats have been degrading their status. So this should change. The next is false allegations against military personnel. Making false allegations like molestation of women and misinformation campaigns against the army is very common ploy of the militants and anti-national elements to win public sympathy while discrediting and demoralizing our soldiers. Every simple case of allegation against soldiers has been thoroughly proved, and almost all of them have found to be false. So that's why I said these are false allegations. Many soldiers wonder whether their bold anti-terrorist operations risking own life are worth the risk of getting embroiled in false court cases and losing self-respect. So this is a very important factor. Next is improper performance reporting system. Like ACR, annual confidential report. कभी कभी क्या होता है, some commanding officers, they give good grade to their favorite officers. And if somebody is not in good book, they will be given a bad ACR. So this affects their career. Then next is inadequacy of grievance redressal mechanism. अगर किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है, उस प्रॉब्लम का इमीडिएट सॉल्यूशन होना जरूरी है. लेकिन adequate attention is not paid to this critical aspect. The military secretary's branch, tasked to handle all complaints, has become insensitive, notorious for inaction, lack of empathy and urgency. Handling complaints by the Ministry of Defense is even more pathetic. An effective grievance redressal mechanism is essential in the management of military personnel, which is very essential. Now, another aspect is increasing court cases. The military personnel feel aggrieved when they are deprived of their rightful due, leading to loss of confidence in the fairness of the system. Dissensions and litigations. It is demoralizing for the soldiers to see their disabled companions running in courts to get their legitimate rights and dues. Low morale and unhappiness. The MOD means Ministry of Defense, appears to be the least bothered in raising the morale, improving their status, restoring the confidence, and ensuring the pride of our defense forces. The unauthorized tasks like cleaning up of trash left by terrorists in the mountains being thrusted upon the army is highly demoralizing and must stop. Then one rank, one pension. आप लोग सुना होगा OROP. OROP has been a sore point of dissatisfaction among our soldiers and veterans. Modi government is the first government to implement the OROP, for which they deserve the full praise and credit. Retirement at young age without alternate job. जैसे बाकी जॉब से आर्मी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस में क्या जल्दी रिटायरमेंट हो जाते हैं. Retirement age of bulk of the officers are 54 years. JCOs, that is junior commissioned officers, are 52 years and Jawans are 42 years without a suitable alternative job. 42 years में जब फौज छोड़ के बाहर जाते हैं उनको immediately कोई alternative job का provision नहीं है. They have to look after their domestic responsibilities like children education, construction of house, and day-to-day living and expense. Acute shortage of officers is another issue. Coupled with work overload, make a deadly combination in which the officers have no time for the troops and family. Unjustified promotions. This is another important aspect. Merit, combat experience, and management of troops should be the deciding factor for promotion, and increased politicization in the top appointment should be stopped.
जैसे कि सर आपने बताया कि ओवरलोड रहता है एंड फॉल्स एलिगेशंस भी लगते हैं, कोर्ट केसेस भी देखने होते हैं, इसे एंजाइटी एंड डिप्रेशन जैसे सिम्टम्स आते हैं. तो ऐसे में कौन से टूल्स इसेंशियल्स होते हैं और जो यूज किए जाते हैं साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज से डील करने के लिए?
देखो, जैसे हमारा साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्टिंग में जो टूल इस्तेमाल करते हैं उस प्रकार का टूल्स जो है यहाँ हमेशा एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता है. We can say the remedial measures recommended by the Defense Institute of Psychological Research, जैसे DIPR बोलते हैं, to decrease the psychological issues among the armed forces personnel are: firstly, decreasing workload, rationalize the grant of leave, increase the pay and allowances, reduce the tenure of deployment, build up better interpersonal relations between officers and men, conduct regular training programs in stress management, and improve recreation facilities. Some other remedial measures already taken by armed forces are: introduction of mental health awareness during pre-induction training, training of officers to provide mental health and counseling to soldiers, provision of welfare like better clothing, food, and married accommodation. Manasik Sahayata Helpline, established by Army and Air Force already. Yoga and meditation classes by experts. Mission Zindagi workshops and lectures organized by the Indian Air Force. Milap and Sahyod programs to reduce stress by the Indian Army. Then mental health centers established by the Indian Navy at Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, Kochi, Port Blair, Goa, and Karwar. Yeah.
जैसे कि आपने कहा कि अगर कोई स्ट्रेस में है तो उसे अपना ओवरलोड डिक्रीज करना चाहिए, इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप बेटर करनी चाहिए, और वो हेल्पलाइन की हेल्प भी ले सकता है, एंड योगा और मेडिटेशन तो हेल्प करते ही हैं। तो एंड जैसा कि आपने सर कहा कि हमेशा की तरह आर्मी फोर्स में टेस्ट वगैरह अवेलेबल नहीं रहते हैं, तो क्या डिफेंस साइकोलॉजिस्ट या साइकेट्रिस्ट का रोल जो जर्नल प्रैक्टिशनर होते हैं उनसे डिफरेंट होता है?
उनसे बहुत सारे डिफरेंस होते हैं, क्योंकि it depends upon the environment which with the people are working. The civil environment and military environment is totally different, as I said. So let us see what are the roles of defense psychologists and psychiatrists. So there are psychiatric wards in major military hospitals situated all over the cantonments in India. So firstly, military hospital, and there will be a ward, that's psychiatric ward. Expert defense psychologists and psychiatrists are posted to treat the soldiers suffering from bipolar disorders, major depressive disorder, schizophrenia, mood disorder, personality disorder, anxiety disorder, and many other psychiatric disorders. Now, imagine being deployed with the military, leaving your family behind and going to war where you witness death and destruction. The stress associated with such scene may cause significant problems in social, emotional, and mental functioning even after retirement from the military. The defense psychologist or public psychiatrist can provide relief for such situations. Now, they can boost up morale of the armed forces personnel. They can conduct periodic lectures and workshops on stress management and counseling at unit oblique formation levels. Now, they do conduct tests like All India Psychometric Test for other ranks during recruitment. And in the case of officers, after the Union Public Service Examination, if they qualify, we have Service Selection Board. Now, in Service Selection Board also, there are different types of selection criteria. So in that, one full day is by psychological test. That is verbal and non-verbal intelligence test, situation reaction test, thematic appreciation test. All these tests by psychologists are conducted. And besides that, there are group testing officers and interviewing officers to test and select the cadets to become officers. So these are there. Then improves the mental health and reduce stress of soldiers. Provides suicide awareness information to all ranks and buddies, and identify the soldiers with the potential suicide risk or warning signs of suicides. What happens is, when these adverse circumstances, when the military personnel serve, there are n number of problems which may lead to even suicide and fratricide. So there is a requirement of improving emotional connectivity with the family, friends, and society. Promote optimism, ensure mental health services, and crisis counseling on priority by our psychologists and psychiatrists. Teaches the soldiers about risk factors, warning signs, and preventive measures of suicide. Trains officers and junior leaders and religious teachers in elementary counseling. It's again a very important aspect. Conducts regular yoga and meditation sessions to help soldiers to cope up with the stress. Makes stress amelioration action plan for with more effectiveness. And solve the issues like frustrations, short temper, anxiety, and other psychological issues. And they also improve, help to improve interpersonal relations between officers and men. Yeah.
जैसे कि सर आपने इश्यूज के नाम बताए, बाइपोलर, स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया या टेम्पर लॉस इश्यूज, तो अगर कोई ऑफिसर इन इश्यूज को फेस कर रहा है तो उसकी जॉब पे क्या और किस तरीके का इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है?
देखिए, ऐसा है, फर्स्टली the officer will be admitted in psychiatric ward. then he will be under the supervision and treatment of expert psychologist. Suppose after a few days or few weeks or months, he becomes all right. Then he will be downgraded. Like shape 1, 2, 3, there is a gradation. He will be downgraded and still be able to carry out some works in the army units. Suppose he is unable to carry out those works, in that case, he will be discharged from the service.
तो अगर कोई भी पर्सन अनेबल है चीजों को करने में अपनी जॉब से, तो उसको डिस्चार्ज कर दिया जाता है सर्विसेज से.
नहीं, नॉट ऑलवेज सीधा डिस्चार्ज ऐसा नहीं होता है. पहले ये कोशिश करते हैं कि उस आदमी वो आर्मी पर्सनल से क्या क्या काम हो सकते हैं, which all work she or he will be able to do. So he will be posted to that particular department. Suppose he is unable to do any sort of work and his output is almost nil, in that case we cannot retain him in service. He has to be discharged. He will be discharged.
तो सर ये कह सकते हैं कि मतलब उन्हें अदर पोस्टेड पे लगा दिया जाता है, अदर डिपार्टमेंट्स में जो वो काम कर सकते हैं.
Yes.
के साथ. जी. सर जैसे साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज को लेके एक जनरल पॉपुलेशन में एक स्टिग्मा रहता है, तो क्या डिफेंस में जो जॉब्स होती हैं तो उन पर्सन्स में भी मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज को लेके इस तरीके के स्टिग्मा रहते हैं?
बिल्कुल रहते हैं, उनसे ज्यादा रहते हैं स्टिग्मा. क्यों? The psychological aspect that may cause mental stigma are prevalent very well in defense services. Our effort is to reduce it or neutralize it. But however, anger, anxiety, conflict, depression, disappointment, dissatisfaction, frustration, pessimism, irritability, mood changes, severe work stress, unhappiness, and so on cause mental health stigma in defense force persons also. And it is highly existent.
मतलब एक नॉर्मल पॉपुलेशन से हाईली स्टिग्मा रहता है डिफेंस में, हम कह सकते हैं.
यस यस
जी सर. सर जैसे आपने कई सालों आर्मी में सर्विसेज दी हैं, तो इस दौरान मोस्ट चैलेंजिंग फैक्टर क्या होता है साइकोलॉजिस्ट के लिए?
देखो, मोस्ट चैलेंजिंग फैक्टर साइकोलॉजिस्ट के लिए रहते हैं कि द मेंटल हेल्थ ऑफ द defense personnel should be good, and for that whatever services a psychologist and psychiatrist can do, they are doing at their best. But the only problem is the number of psychologists and psychiatrists available are lesser in number. That's why their workload is also very heavy. The number of people who may get psychological problems are more than the number of people or psychiatrists and psychologists available for the treatment. So that is a major issue.
सर क्या रिटायरमेंट के बाद भी आर्मी पर्सन या जो डिफेंस में जॉब करते हैं पर्सन्स में साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज डेवलप होने के चांसेस होते हैं?
यस, डेफिनेटली रहते हैं कि say post-retirement job worries of the military personnel are too much. क्योंकि मैंने पहले आपको बोला था कि at an younger age, officers as well as jawans, they go on retirement. So when they go on retirement, their financial condition is not that good. So they have to have an alternative job which is not readily available. So this problem can be solved with reserved quota in jobs for ex-servicemen and by lateral placement without loss of seniority with the same status in paramilitary forces as well as other organizations. Increasing financial status of veterans, so that veterans means retired people, so that they can construct their house, they can support their family and provide quality education to their children. Because what happens, you know that the family and children will be away, and the defense person will be away for their job purpose due to lack of family accommodation. And in field, of course, it is families are not permitted in most of the field area. That's why the family and the children, they do suffer. So there should be a stop for it. So a retired person is trying to make up this deficiency which he could not do during his service. So that facility should be available to him.
जैसे कि सर आपने कई वर्षों आर्मी में सर्विसेज दी हैं एज अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट, तो इस दौरान आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Experience बहुत अच्छा है. I had impressive 30 years of rich and qualitative experience in HR management, administration, security management, education management, psychology and counseling, journalism and media management in Army. And it's a very major aspect. Indian Army taught me communication skills, organization skills, project management skills, public relations skills, leadership and motivation skills, quick decision-making ability, and crisis management skills. In which institution a normal person can learn this from civil? It is very difficult, but it is possible in Army or defense services as such. An expert in educational management, teaching and motivation of students and staff with expertise in a wide variety of professional disciplines is made possible in defense. An expert in event management, disaster management, and training of candidates in skill development, personality, and leadership. An expert in security system with working knowledge of electronic and computer-aided gadgetries, such as security surveillance system, fence protection system, access control system, and so on. And profound exposure and knowledge of standard operating procedures, contingency planning, and execution management, administration, teaching, and training of human resources. Because in front of officers, vast number of Army personnel are available, and that's why a lot of opportunity was available in this way. Then I was lucky to handle critical operational and logistic situations during operational as well as peace condition in Army as a staff officer and officer commanding. Proficiently served in electrical and mechanical engineers, Regiment of Artillery, Army Education, Army Intelligence Corps, and Directorate of Public Relations under Ministry of Defense. So I was lucky to serve in all these. Rated as the best cadet adjutant for outstanding performance during training in Indian Military Academy, which is one of the most famous institutions of the world where Army officers are trained and commissioned. Efficiently selected and served as an ADC to Chief of Staff in 1985-96 time. Actively served in all Army commands, all type of terrains like mountain, forest, plain, desert area, and both in field areas as well as peace areas of Assam, Tripura, Mizoram, Meghalaya, J&K, Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, UP, MP, and AP, that is Andhra Pradesh. And which civil person will be lucky enough to get this much opportunity? I don't think so. Then successfully managed an organization consisting of more than 25,000 personnel, including responsibilities such as finance, budgeting, cost control, logistics, transport management, education, security, and training. I could successfully participate in 7 Army operations. These are like wars, such as Operation Blue Star, Operation Bajrang, Operation Rhino, Operation Rakshak 1 and Operation Rakshak 2, Operation Vijay, Operation Sahayata, and Operation Parakram. And it's a great opportunity. I could participate and successfully carry out these operations. And I consider myself very lucky in this.
सर बहुत ही वंडरफुल आपका एक्सपीरियंस रहा, जैसे कि आपने बताया आपने इतने सारे मिशंस किए, अपने चीजें अचीव की, एक्सपीरियंस आपने लिए। तो एट लास्ट आप डिफेंस ऑफिसर एंड जर्नल पर्सन के लिए क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे?
Yeah, so if India remains united today, the credit goes to our armed forces and to the leadership of officers and junior leaders. Indian armed forces continue to be the sole source of hope for our nation in adverse and critical circumstances. Therefore, every issue that affects the well-being of an armed forces personnel must be taken seriously. And another aspect I wanted to emphasize here is, if you support and motivate our armed forces personnel, they are ready to give their life for the country and the people, and they will definitely protect you. That's why you must support and motivate and help whatever way you can. And whenever you see the defense person, you can always give them the credit, give respect and take respect, sort of thing. So this is what I wanted to tell to our complete people as well as the government. Government should look after their financial status and improve their status as defense forces personnel. This is the message what I want to give.
जी सर, सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने अपना प्रीशियस टाइम हमें दिया. It was a great pleasure to have talk with you on a platform, and especially on the occasion of Indian Army Day. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your precious information.
Thank you very much for calling me. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.